Hello. Hey everyone. How's it going? Just trying to get things working here. Looks to be good. Hey Dave, how's it going, man? Staying up this late. It's morning here. You forget we're in Australia. It's 10:30 in the morning. And I know you mentioned, I think on one of the last ones, that you struggle to make the live streams sometimes, and I'm trying to rotate them around to different times so that different people from different time zones can make it online. So hopefully that's working out. Junichi, hello, how's it going? Anyway, yeah, welcome back to the channel, to another live stream. It's been a little while, and I haven't been as consistent lately with live streams. Things are getting busy, I guess, and I'll talk a little bit more about that soon. But this one's going to be an update and just general Q&A, just because I haven't been doing streams as much, and I thought it'd be cool to catch up with you guys. And I put out a little questions sticker on Instagram stories on the Pushing Film Instagram account, just saying ask me anything. So if there's any questions from there, I might take a few from there. But mostly just feel free to ask questions here if you're live on the stream right now. So thanks for joining if you are. It's good to see people jumping online and commenting and stuff. So yeah, chill out, relax, sit back. Let's nerd out about photography, which is something I always enjoy doing. So where are you again, Dave? Because I know you're in the opposite time zone. I'm feeling USA for some reason, I'm remembering. Hey John, thanks for joining, man. But yeah, let me know if everything's working all right. It should be. Hey Luke, hey man, what's up? Argentina, cool. Yeah, I'm glad there's some Aussie people here as well, because I know 10:30 in the morning, if you work a normal job or whatever, you might not find this time convenient. But for me, you know, I don't work a proper job. I freelance and whatever, so it's I like this time. By this time, I've already woken up and had a late breakfast and coffee and gotten some planning done for the day, and that's about it really, before the rest of the day resumes. Been enjoying your holiday content? Yeah, good to hear. I'm glad. So that's another reason why there haven't been as many consistent videos, which it doesn't bother me, but I just feel like I might explain that to you, because we went on the holiday and we actually have more trips coming up. And I was busy working on all those vlogs, which is pretty time consuming to edit. And appreciate you doing this. Your last trip was really nice. Yeah, thanks. You better answer mine or I'm boycotting the stream. Yeah. You mean in the Instagram thing? Okay, yeah, I'm going to check those. I'll pull out my phone later. Actually, I need to put on charge because the battery's low. So that I can reach for it for the Instagram questions. But yeah, thanks for reminding me, Luke, actually. Josh, frames per second. Hey, man. Finally free for one of these again. Yeah, cool. So you're at home at this time on a Thursday? Is that what day it is? Yeah, as well. Cool, good to hear. John, morning coffee time now. Yeah, because you're in Tokyo, right? John? I'm having a coffee too, black coffee, V60. I'm going to actually put another video about some coffee beans that I have accumulated, like different coffee roasters in Melbourne, some really great brands of coffee that you can get in Melbourne that roast here locally, that have subscriptions and all that kind of stuff, on my personal channel, because I know it doesn't really fit in here. But if you're into that, go to the personal channel. There's a link in the description. And this week I'll be putting out a video on some great coffee roasters in Melbourne if you're into buying and making your own coffee, which is really cool. If you are, because saves you a lot of money, it gives you a lot of flexibility to make it how you want it, and it's just fun. I find it therapeutic making coffee. So yeah, thanks Dave for the note on the audio and video. Junichi, how's your day? If you're talking to me, I'm great, man. Day's good so far. Still early, but thanks for that reminder, Dave. I know you do that a few times on some other streams as well. I appreciate it. When's the next Melbourne meetup? So we just had one a few days ago on the weekend. It was the Coffee and Cameras meetup, which was postponed from its previous date because of the weather. And then it was kind of last minute. The the new date, and that's because it's done through the Discord server on the Meetups channel, because there's a few regulars here in Melbourne that really help contribute and communicate about their availability and when they want to meet up. And we kind of just did it a couple of days beforehand and said, hey, how about this weekend? The weather's good. So it was 4 of us, I think, this time, but it was great. Damon was there, and who else? Hamish and Jackson, all from the Discord server. And we went to Open Lab. We walked around and shot. The weather was beautiful, and we had plenty of coffee. So it was really good. And I want to do the next one, well, let's see, maybe later this month, because last weekend's one was meant to be last month. So there's still meant to be an October coffee and cameras. But yeah, best thing is to jump on the Discord server. There's a link to that in the description as well. And go onto the Meetups channel and just kind of chime in and say when you're available, and or when you want to do it, or just check there to see if we've announced something. And it's kind of a community thing. I don't want it to be all about me and my availability. And also to the point where maybe if I'm not around, like if I'm away, I would like people within the Discord community in Melbourne to organize them regardless. Have your own meetups, even if I'm not available. Hey man, how's it going? Good to see you. Yeah, we got to catch up, Asayla, actually. You should come to one of the meetups. I haven't seen you in a while. And I've still got to give you some negatives. And John, you're in Tokyo. Yeah, cool. Anyway, I'll catch back up on the live chat shortly. I just wanted to kind of go over a few things, just update on the latest that I've already touched on. So the holidays that Sarah and I went on to multiple countries in May and June. All the footage from that has now been published as various vlogs on the channel. So if you haven't seen them, there was stuff from Turkey, 3 different videos from there, Istanbul, Cappadocia, and then the South Turkey. And then we did the Lebanon trip. We also went to Greece. So I did a shorter one on that because it was only 1 day in Greece. And then we actually went back through there on the way home. And we also spent 5 days in Italy. Now I didn't shoot as much film in Italy. I might still do a vlog because we only went to the Amalfi Coast and some of the islands nearby. But I'm yet to decide whether there's enough material to do a vlog for the film photography side of things on this channel, or maybe there's just enough to do a really shorter, just kind of general vlog on my personal channel. I have to go over the photos and see what I have that I'm able to share, because there's some that I'm saving aside for a print publication for a zine or something. So that's that. But yeah, on that trip, I took the Leica, I took the Pentax 645N, and I appreciate anyone who's seen some of that, footage in the form of the vlogs, or been following on Instagram and seeing the photos I've been posting on my personal or Pushing Film account. And it was a good combo. I remember consulting you guys before I left, asking which cameras I should bring. So it was those 2 film cameras and the X100V, which I filmed a lot of the footage on. And yeah, it was the first time traveling with a medium format camera, with the Pentax, and I don't regret it. This was actually really fun to have, and if anything, next time if I was to only bring 2 cameras, I would love to bring this and a smaller format camera, such as the Leica or the X100. Maybe not all 3, but this one was really cool. I think the shots I took on this were some of my favorite because of that amazing quality and resolution you can get from stepping up to medium format. So in other news, I actually bought a new lens for this. When I traveled, I took my 75mm, which was the main lens I tend to use on this. I also have a 150, but now I bought a 45mm, which is kind of a wide angle lens. This probably won't focus because it's on face detect, but anyway, you get the idea. It's a 45mm lens, which is equivalent to about 28 on 35mm. And it's a pretty cheap lens. I got it on eBay from Japan for about 280 Australian dollars. I'm really guessing here because I feel like it was around that much. Pretty sure it was under 300 shipped, and it's not in the greatest condition cosmetically, but optically it was fine. So I don't mind that. It's pretty scratched up, and yeah, really cool to have a wide angle lens on medium format. So that's a lens I've been wanting for a while, because I do use my 645 for wedding stuff as well. And it would be cool to have a little bit more of that environmental focal length for weddings and stuff like that. And just for travel, I feel like the 75 is great, but it can feel a little bit tight sometimes. So yeah, I'll show you some shots from that if you guys want to see them. Let me know in the live chat. I've actually got, I shot my first test roll with this lens during the Coffee and Cameras photo walk. and before that on a camping trip, and just various shots. And I got the film developed, I did it myself at Open Lab on the day we did the meetup, and scanned it, and the lens is great. I think it doesn't get very good reviews. It gets good reviews, but some people don't like it. But I think it's great for its price, so I don't regret it at all. Anyway, what's everyone up to? What's everyone been shooting? What's the latest feeling about the prices of film? Has everyone kind of cut back on the amount of film they shoot? Sorry, there's weird dust on the lens. Like, I know I've cut back a little bit, but that's mostly because I shot so much on holiday, and because I guess some of it is due to the prices as well. Like, I look at the price of Kodak film online and I just go, maybe not. I'll wait for a bargain or shoot more black and white or something. So with the Godox flashes, you're asking which one I would prefer to use. It would be the Junior. It's just easier to wield and carry, and my style of shooting, I like that more intense, widespread flash, because the Senior isn't as good with wider focal lengths like 35 or 28. Vignettes a bit too much for my liking, but it would be really cool if you do portraits primarily. Hey, from Georgia, that's cool. Little Rebel Coffee Roasters in Dramana, great coffee place. Oh yeah, haven't heard of them. Yeah, so I know I'm far behind on the live chat, but I'll try and catch up with all this soon. Yeah, it's actually quite a bit. Anyway, I'll quickly show you some shots from the 45mm lens on the Pentax 645N. Got a roll here. I went camping with Sarah and some friends, and it was on a donkey farm, which was pretty cool. But yeah, this is the lens. It looks great. It's sharp. It's, renders well. 2.8 is a nice focal length for a wide lens on medium format, so you get a bit of that background blur if you want it. This was probably shot at f4, f2.8 maybe. I would have to check the negatives because it does print on the edges. But yeah, I just did some general test shots, and it's a good wide angle portrait of a donkey. If anyone's seen that episode of South Park, the wide angle animals close up with a wide angle lens, where they make fun of the news, the kids are doing a news show. If anyone does know that episode, please let me know, because I was thinking of that episode of South Park when I took this photo, and the jingle of close up animals on a wide angle lens went through my head. But anyway, yeah, the lens is good. Look at that. This is Portra 160, by the way. I like this shot, actually. This is the kind of focal length, the shot that 28mm works well for. You can see actually the printing there, f4, a 30th of a second. And having a wider focal length usually means you can shoot a little bit slower, handheld, at least for me. Sarah, I really like this shot. So it's good for an environmental portrait. And there's another one here of Damon from the photo walk with his Contax G2. I really like the way it renders, and I can't believe people diss this lens online. They mostly don't. Most people like it, but I think it's great. So if anyone has a 645N and they're considering this lens, I think it's really good for environmental shots and portraits and landscapes even. I mean, for landscapes, it's not super sharp into the corners. There is some vignetting, but like if you stop it down, I'm sure it'll be fine. You can see a bit of distortion. But for the most part, it's really nice, really detailed. And mind you, this is not stopped down very much because it was quite dark inside this garage. Anyway, yeah, that's that lens, and that's the latest purchase I've made, is that lens for the 645, and camera I continue to love using. And yeah, sorry, my shortcuts for the live stream OBS aren't working. I'm gonna try and fix that. Give me a moment. I use a little Stream Deck thingy for swapping scenes, which makes it easier, but at the moment it's not. Oh, here we go. I fixed it. Stream Decks, by the way, are really handy, not only for streaming. This is the one I use. It's a little like 15 key one, I think, but it's good for editing. I use it for video editing, and for even in Lightroom, I have little shortcuts for changing from contrast to exposure to white balance or whatever, then I use plus and minus, and just kind of helps you set up macros like that. So little tip for anyone who does a lot of editing and stuff. Good morning, discovered your channel, researching Samsung point and shoot. Nice, yeah, I love that point and shoot. I actually used mine recently and I love the results from it still. Anyway, what else did I have? So yeah, things are getting a little bit busier for the year. Weddings are resuming here in Australia. Wedding season is between like October and March roughly, because it's the warmer season here. So that's why things are getting a little bit less frequent on the channel, more photography jobs, and also we tend to do a little bit more traveling towards the end of the year. And one such trip was we went to Canberra for a wedding for one of Sarah's friends. We're actually going back to Canberra again for one of her other friends' weddings. We're going back to Perth, which is where I'm originally from and haven't been able to travel back to for a while because of just got pushed around, and previously because of their lockdown rules and whatever. So it's been a while, and we're going to Perth to visit family for about a week. And then going to Sydney. So Sydney is also for a wedding for one of Sarah's other friends, but I also tried to time it for a street photography workshop. So if you saw my live stream with Robin, which was the last live stream on the channel, I'm going to be doing co-hosting 2 street photography workshops in one in Sydney, one in Melbourne. So if you're into street photography and you haven't seen that live stream or heard that announcement on Robin's channel, he is flying over. We're going to be running these workshops, which is really exciting and something we are actually planning to do from before the pandemic, from early 2020, and had to postpone it because he already does workshops. He's been doing them for a while. He's mostly done them in Europe. I don't know if he's done any outside of Europe. Maybe he's done one in South America. I'm not sure. But yeah, if you're not familiar with Robin, there's a link to his channel in the description. He's a great street photographer. And I've done a video with him in the past when he visited Melbourne just for fun. And yeah, he's running one of his workshops here in both cities, but I'm helping sort of co-host it. So it's going to be a great excuse to travel to Sydney on top of the wedding that we're going for. And if you're interested, there's 4 tickets left for the Sydney workshop. So I'll bring that up actually so you can see it. There's a link in the description. Hold on. I got to get this browser to show up. Let's see. There we go. So that's the Sydney one. It's November 5th to 6th in Sydney. So the link in the description will take you to this page on Robin's website, which has more details of the workshop, what it involves. It's 2 days. It's Saturday and Sunday. So it's a pretty full-on workshop, and it gives you all the details, what you'll need or what you'll ideally want to bring, and the costs and all that sort of stuff. So that's the page for Sydney. This is the page for Melbourne. So Melbourne's workshop is between the 19th and 20th of November. So it's that weekend, Saturday, Sunday, 2-day workshop. We still have tickets for Melbourne as well. I think we've sold a few, but there's more tickets left for the Melbourne workshop than there are for Sydney. If you are interested, Robin's the one dealing with all that. So you need to contact him through this website and secure your place. So yeah, that's the latest announcement. So that's going to keep me pretty busy in that part of November. And while Robin's here, we're hoping to film some other stuff, just some fun film photography related videos in Melbourne, maybe even in Sydney. We'll see how much time we get. So anyway, that's that. Yeah, so someone asked about the Godox flashes before. That was the last produced video I put on the channel. And if you are interested in those flashes, check out that video because they were heaps of fun to use. And Godox sent me one of each. So if there's the junior and the senior. And yeah, if anyone has other questions about them, you can feel free to ask it. All right, it's time to catch up on some of this chat. I've fallen behind. Do I suggest the basic kit 35mm or regular riser? The negative supply stuff. Well, Fujifilm X-A7, what is that? They're one of the X series cameras? XE? I've heard of the XE series. But generally, for most Fuji cameras, except the medium format, the basic mini should be enough. It's actually quite sturdy. But if it's a heavy thing like a GFX, you want the Pro risers. Any plan to make a zine out of your latest trip? Yes, there is one for Turkey, definitely, and others as well. I'm still trying to take the time to curate the shots and organize some test prints. I even have some titles in mind. I have started to go through the selection, so that, yeah, that's coming. Luke still devastated couldn't get into the city because of stupid trains. Yeah, man, it was because of the Melbourne Marathon that weekend. I think it was, trains were all over the place, and just general PTV stuff here. Been really enjoying your travel photos on Instagram. Yeah, thanks, John. Raymond, even if it's just a couple of clips and photos, it'd be beautiful to see your Italy stretch of the trip. Okay, yeah, I'm trying to remember if I shot enough footage, because I know I was busy shooting photos like crazy, especially on the islands like Positano and Procida. Sorry, Presida's an island, Positano's not. But it's because our time was so limited there that I think I was struggling to juggle everything shooting footage as well. But I have to look back. It's been a while now. I know I have some. I have enough, I think. But let's see. Sailor seem to make silly plans which keep coinciding with the meetups, but so keen to hit the meetups and grab those wedding negatives. Yeah, man, there's a lot of them. Yeah, you should come. It's been a while. I hope you're doing well anyway. Josh, love traveling with my 645. Yeah, dude. Have you done a video on, I know you've put out some of your Melbourne videos, but the one where we met up, where you were shooting, I forgot what film it was now. I'm curious if you put that out yet. Yep, agreed. It's cool when you have a wider focal length on medium format, like the 55mm on the Pentax 6.7, for example. It's also about 28mm equivalent, but because of the ratio, it's not as wide in terms of its the crop ratio, whatever you want to call it, aspect ratio. So it still has a really fun and interesting way of working in terms of composition. I like ratios like 4:3. For anything but street, I quite like those aspect ratios from medium format cameras tend to have. Take Hasselblad when you travel, well worth the effort. Yeah, it's small. It's a bit heavy, but smallish. You know what, Nikki, I've actually got a video coming up on the channel. My next video is kind of a meta review of all the film scanning gear, the popular stuff on the market right now. So yeah, if you want to wait for that video, I might have addressed some of that stuff by now. I'm not sure specifically what the Fuji X-A7 is, but I feel like the basic kit is quite good. I have the basic kit, most of it, and I'm going to be talking about that in my upcoming video and comparing it to the Pro kit, or some of the differences between the higher grade negative supply stuff, the essential film holder, and the Veloy. So I think those are the three most popular options on the market. So I'm going to be kind of just going over, you know, what's for who and what your kind of budget might be best suited to buying into. So yeah, if you have anything more specific, feel free to message me this question or a more in-depth version of what you're kind of chasing, and I'll try and work it into the video maybe, especially if I get similar questions. Nice. Shooting on FE, nice. Greetings from New York, cool. Let's try and get through some of these chats. I might just breeze through some of them. Fuji, another price rise, shit. Yeah, so I feel like a lot of people have cut back on buying film, and yeah, YouTube Shorts, I don't know about them. I don't tend to watch them much. I do sometimes, but I just don't feel like I'm very good at making shorts. I made one on my personal channel where I was making coffee. I think that was all right, but yeah, I'm just used to making longer form videos, and I enjoy watching longer form videos more than I do shorts, but it's cool to experiment with it. I have heard that lens is great. Shot too much, taking it easy lately. Yep, I think a lot of us feel that. Bulk loading vision, great way to do up to 35mm. You can save a lot of money. Yeah, HP5. I've bulk loaded both of those, and I tend to do that to save money as well. Been hitting the E6 a fair bit. Shot my engagement on Super 8 E100. That's cool. So you developed Super 8 reversal. That's awesome, because then you could project it if you found an old Super 8 projector. That'll be quite an experience. Lens extender. Yeah, I think that would be hard to find things for. Yeah, so the detail you get out of that 45mm is more than decent. It's really good. And is that the Aussie Joe Greer? Yeah. So you know what? When I took the photo, when we went to Open Lab together and I developed and scanned it, I posted it on my story on the Pushing Film Instagram account. And the exact caption I put in was, I found the Aussie Joe Greer. And if anyone missed it, doesn't know what we're talking about, we're talking about this photo of Damon here with his Joe Greer looking hat. I like this more serious one, actually. But yeah, that's what we're talking about. It is indeed, because he's a street photographer too, and I call him Joe Greer sometimes, especially if he's wearing that hat. I used to diss Portra 160. It's a great film. I love it. I think you just need to scan it well. I scan these myself on the Frontier at Open Lab. Maybe that helps, because sometimes it comes out a bit too blue-greenish and you have to kind of warm it up or add magenta. Oh, you grew into shooting it. Yeah, nice. And it's usually cheaper than 400. Maybe now not as much, but it always used to be cheaper than 400. Josh going to Perth in January. Nice. Yeah, it'll be full on summer by then. Good time to go. Yeah, 160 NS. Cool. I'll look forward to the video. That's a nice deal. Congrats, man. M4Ps are great. Nikki, best way to message you through this chat. I would say send it on the Instagram account, or join Discord if you're not already on there. Then you can post any technical questions like that in the technical advice channel, because if I don't know the answer, or even if I do, multiple people might chip in and sort of give their thoughts on it. I actually have a whole film scanning channel on the Discord server where people chat about film scanning related questions and gear and whatever. But yeah, any way you want. I'll just try and find out what the Fuji X-A7 is. Actually, I'll look that up later. If it's a small camera, the basic mini should be fine. And the basic gear, if you don't really care about having the advancer, it's really great. I would say definitely go for it, especially if you only scan one format, because you don't have to buy both 120 and 35mm holders. And the 95 CRI, it's probably more than enough to get really good quality. It's only an incremental increase, you notice, from 99. And there's also a whole video I did on the channel comparing that kind of stuff called light sources for scanning film or something like that. Ted's had a discount on Lomo 800 3-packs, less than 60. Yeah, it's good. I mean, it should always be less than 60 in my opinion. I remember when it used to be 20, 30 bucks for a 3-pack. So to me, that's not a huge discount, but I'm sure it's better than paying whatever 70 or something it was before that. You bought a slim Samsung AF Slim Q. Yeah, it's really hard to find information on them. Try it out. Find out. If it's anything like the AF Slim normal, it'll be pretty good. Nice Kinto cup. Yep. Love Kinto stuff. Really nice coffee gear, including cups and stuff. All right, so I've talked about the last videos on the channel, some of the news and latest purchases, and the upcoming workshops. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out those links in the description. If you want to join one of those workshops, it'll be a full-on weekend where we'll try and help everyone get as much as possible out of those 2 days as we can. And with Robin's experience and expertise, I think it will be really good. I mean, his other workshops in Europe have always been quite successful. He just did one in London. He's done Amsterdam. He's coming to Australia, and then I think he's doing one in Thailand, in Bangkok or somewhere like that, which is really cool. Yeah, he travels a lot. So, what's coming up next? The film scanning gear type video. I still haven't decided what to call it or how to structure it. But basically, I want it to be kind of like a meta review or analysis of the 3 most popular brands of film scanning holders and gear, and what might be best for what price bracket and use case scenario and stuff like that. But yeah, it could change. Feel free to give your suggestions on what you'd like to see if you're someone who's still thinking of investing in some kind of film scanning gear at home, or you're just getting into doing your own film scanning at home and you want to kind of invest in some stuff. Like, what would be your main questions? And yeah, that'll be the next video on the channel. And then there's another film scanning-ish related video after that. And I will hopefully do some stuff with Robin, more along the lines of just vlog type content. And yeah, it might be only a few more videos for the rest of the year because of all the trips coming up that I mentioned. And in December, we're going overseas again in mid-December. So yeah, at the end of the year, it kind of just gets busy with wedding season, other stuff that I mentioned. So I'll try and get 2 or 3 more videos at least out on the channel, and maybe even schedule something for December while I'm away. Cool. So I'm working on a new series, a few new series for zines. So Dave, I think, asked earlier. One of them will be stuff from Turkey. And then there's also a series I've been working on for a couple of years now, here in Melbourne, here in Australia, actually, not just Melbourne. And I think I mentioned it on the channel only very briefly before, but I don't want to give too much of it away. I haven't really shared much of the photos from this series. It's actually, you can see the photos for it on the metal board behind me. It's a working series, but I wanted to initially release it by the end of this year. I felt like I didn't have enough content because I was sort of culling through the photos and taking out what's weaker and what I really like and figuring out what works well together. And I decided I need more photos for it. So I need to shoot for the next few months, hopefully. It's very summer centric. So it kind of relies on the summer season here in Australia, which is why I have to wait and then take these next few months coming up into maybe March next year to get enough content for it. And then I think I'll be ready to start putting it together and releasing that. But yeah, before that, I might actually release some of the stuff from overseas. I still need time for that. I don't predict that'll be out until any of them will be out until next year. But I am working on new series. I am working on print series. I'm quite excited to bring those out. And if you haven't already checked it out, I still have copies of my first zine, the sun-dried strip. This was one that I shot just over 3 or 4 years at least, in a little local suburban shopping strip that kind of just felt like it was stuck in the 70s, and it was kind of undergoing like a gentrification process where the shops were all changing from really old school ones to newer ones, and I just liked a lot of the, you know, the colors and textures. And I used to go there for walks regularly. You can kind of see, you know, like it's all about color and texture and patterns and stuff like that. So not my usual work if you see what I usually post on Instagram, but I have copies of that. There's a link to the website for it in the description if you're interested. And it's pretty affordable if you're especially converting from US dollars, because where is it? It's 25 Australian plus shipping, but if you're in the US, that works out to, I don't know, right now the exchange rate is in your favor, so it could only be like, I don't know, 15 US dollars. Shipping is 10 Australian dollars worldwide, which is probably like 6 US. So yeah, it's a great way to support me and the channel if you're interested. You haven't picked up a copy yet, and I still have copies available. So yeah, and I really appreciate anyone who has actually bought a copy of the zine already. I really enjoyed making that one. It was a lot of fun. So, are you talking about traveling with gear? Oh, you do project your Super 8. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, you're really into it, man. Hey. Let me know if you need a hand to help out with the Melbourne shoots for the zine. More than happy to help. Do you mean for the workshop, Luke? Because actually that we are hopefully going to try and find someone to help document some behind the scenes for the workshops. Or it may be other stuff we end up doing around those days. We have to talk to Robin more about our plan and try and plan things out, because he's only here for a limited time. But yeah, that's good to know. Have you ever held an exhibition in Melbourne? I never have, but I have aspirations for it. Yeah, cool. I haven't done it myself. I also... Oh, hey, it's Mert. Hey, man. Because it said M on the username, I was wondering. Yeah, man, you should definitely put an exhibition together of your stuff. You have some amazing work that you could definitely curate down to a solid exhibition of whatever many prints. 20 is a good amount, or maybe between 20 and 50. I don't know. I've been to a few exhibitions, but I've never done one myself. I want to. I was actually talking about, and Sarah and I were talking about doing a joint one. I think that'd be really cool. For example, from our recent travel, we have enough material there to put together a joint exhibition if we print some of our favorite stuff from there and kind of have it work in unison. So yeah, I don't have much advice, but definitely go for it. I think it would be cool. I would come to it. Are there any analog supplies you can't buy in Melbourne? Less popular stuff like Portra? Portra is the most popular. Oh, sheets. Sorry, yeah, I should have read the rest of it. Yeah. Well, we have a place called Van Bar that has a lot of that kind of developing and darkroom stuff. So I feel like we can get everything. Yeah, Van Bar in Fitzroy is the place usually where you want to go for all that chemistry and darkroom equipment. But I guess there are probably some things like 8x10. I'm not sure if they would have that if you have to order that from overseas, but I've never shot 8x10. So cool. All right, what else do I have on my notes? Working on new series. Excited to get started on those or continue working on those. I did push back that other series that requires more material shooting over summer, and still got copies of the Sunrise Strip if you're interested in that. So all right, let's check Instagram, see what people ask there. We answer some questions, and then I'll probably wrap up the stream shortly after that. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Let's see what we got. This first one's from Luke. I hope you're still here. Well, it's probably the most recent one, but that's the order that I'm reading them in because they come up in most recent order, I think. So a coffee question. Awesome. Let's see. Do you drink espresso or are you only a long black hipster? That's a good one. I do like espresso as well. I tend to drink black coffee, filter coffee at home especially. But when I'm out, I do like espresso sometimes. I used to have an espresso machine, but it's a little bit more complicated and to find the space for it, and it's not as straightforward. Plus, I don't drink as many milk drinks as I used to. I've become less tolerant of lactose. I still enjoy milk. I still drink it. But when I have an espresso, for example, I'll often have it as a piccolo. Or I think overseas you'll call it a cortado. So it's kind of like 50% espresso, 50% milk. It's a more even ratio as opposed to like a latte, which is too milky. I'll still have one every now and then, but if I have a latte or flat white, I'll have to get a strong or double. So there's more ratio of coffee to milk. I've never liked overly milky coffee anyway. I like to taste the coffee. But espresso is delicious. I actually had one recently when I was shooting a coffee competition. I was shooting the Barista League, Barista Championship thing in Proud Mary's Roastery, which was heaps of fun as a gig to shoot because I got to walk around and interact with baristas and people who are into coffee and try different coffees. It was really good. But yeah, I hope that answers that question, Luke. Long black. I don't often order long blacks. Sometimes I do. I must have gotten one when we were on the photo walk. Stephen Frizzer, have you ever filmed in Super 8? Sorry I can't put these up on the screen. Maybe I could have found a way to do it, but I didn't do it. I have filmed Super 8, definitely. There's even a video on the Pushing Film channel where Sarah and I documented a little road trip from Sydney to Melbourne and back on Super 8, and maybe some other stuff as well. It's just expensive. That's the only problem. I'm going to jump to a question here. How rewarding does it feel to have spent so much time on a project to finally have the finished zine in front of you? I plan to do a long-term project of my local town. Absolutely, 100% agreed. Yeah, it really is. And if you haven't done it before, anyone watching, I definitely advise it. Even if it's just something small you print for yourself and some friends, it can be really rewarding to see your photos in printed format and learn about the whole process. All right, Instagram question. Thanks for inspiring and also introducing me to Halide Supply. From Doggo Aficionado. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, good to see you got onto Halide Supply as well. From Ivan Christic, any affordable 6x7 cameras? These days, not really, unfortunately. Unless you don't mind shooting 6x6, you can get like a Pentax 6 or a Kiev 60 or whatever they are, kind of like the 6.7 ripoff, but they're not actually 6x7 ratio. They're 6.6, which is still close enough. But to be honest, it used to be that I could say yes, there are some cheap options for 6x7, like the RB67, but even they've shot up in price now. You might consider that cheap, depending what that means to you. You can get one for probably 700 to 1,000 Australian dollars, but to me, that's no longer cheap. So yeah, 6.7 cameras are kind of designed for studio use back in the day, and they were always a little bit expensive. So I don't know if there's any affordable 6x7 cameras, but the most affordable might be the RB67. Question from Abang Faisal. It's Holga week. Do you shoot Holga? No, I don't. The closest thing I have is a Diana F. I haven't shot it in a while. Got a question from what is that? Rakuten Minister? I don't know if I've misread that. Any lens purchases planned in the future? Nothing planned in the near future. I don't have my eyes on any lenses, but who knows? Somewhere down the track, I might get something. Any plans to come to Los Angeles? Hopefully one day. I really want to. LA looks beautiful. So yeah, if we make a trip to America, it would be cool to definitely visit places like LA and New York. Even the Midwest somewhere would be cool. Instagram question, Pentax 672 or Mamiya 72? Ooh, I would pick the Pentax because I like SLRs for that type of shooting. I like rangefinders for street, but I probably wouldn't use Mamiya 72 for street. It wouldn't make sense. I mean, yeah, this is really subjective. I think the Mamiya would be good for certain type of photographers, and the lenses are really sharp, and like there's advantages to the 6.7 where you can focus closer, for example, and you have the what you see is what you get kind of aspect of it. But yeah, I would pick the Pentax 6.7 too. Even though the Mamiya is probably worth more, I could pick that, sell it, and then get more stuff. All right, what have we got? Damon, what makes a photo good versus great to you? So I feel that when a photo is good, it's maybe just well composed of a nice subject, whereas something that's great goes beyond just those things by having some emotional element to it. Not necessarily like, well, look, this photo is upsetting or emotional, but no, it makes you feel something, whether it's a portrait or a scene of something happening, or even just an empty landscape. It has some kind of effect on you as a viewer that goes beyond just, that's nice. It's a nice photo of a cool dino or something. Whereas if you have some kind of element of story or feeling or emotion in it, that's what elevates it to being great. And that's hard to achieve, I would admit that, like, I feel personally that most of the photos in this zine, for example, they're good, but they're not great. They work well together. Maybe they're great together, but they don't really necessarily, in my eyes, elevate to that level. There's nothing wrong with taking photos that are just good, but that's just my way of answering that. It's a good question, Damon. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. And I know we've chatted about this kind of stuff before, and it's a constant struggle for us photographers to elevate stuff to that next level. Not that you have to. I've got a question from Lewis D. Photo. I think we've met at one of the other meetups, yeah? If you're online, Lewis, I don't know if you're on the live stream, but your question is, what's your idea of helping the film community to grow in Melbourne? Well, I haven't had any new ideas, but I guess it's just doing the meetups, the Discord group, and getting people together, because what I feel like has happened through the Discord group is that people have met each other through it, and then maybe they do their own meetups or made new friends. And doing things like the workshops and meetups. I have another really big idea for Melbourne, but I can't really say much about it because it's not solid yet. It's not set in stone, and yeah, I guess it's just doing what I do through the channel, but I don't have any new ideas. It's a bit of a struggle to kind of keep up with everything, and but it is important to me to kind of help the film photography community grow. and thrive here in Melbourne. And I think there's other people that are doing really great things as well, which is important. And I think networking is definitely part of it. So, for example, Her Stories on Film, Joey Chan, who I've featured on the channel a couple of times now, she's doing great work with the community she's built also through Discord and online. And we've kind of merged through one of the last meetups, for example. Anyway, yeah, that's a good question. Much appreciated, Lewis. Last question from Sarah. It just says, "How are you so hot?" You can't read that from here, but well, Sarah, some people run hotter than others and they sweat a lot, like me, and it's a constant problem. No, I appreciate that. And that was it for the Instagram questions. Let's see what we got here. V60/origami better than espresso. Is origami another pour over brewer? I've never tried that. But yeah, I do prefer a V60 over an espresso, for example, or a filter coffee over an espresso if I had to pick, because it's a little bit more tolerable. Espressos are very acidic to me, which is nice when you have milk with it, or even if you're just in the mood for a strong shot of really nice espresso. But I prefer drinking filter coffee like V60. Luke, thanks for answering. Yeah, man. Best drip coffee in Melbourne. Caleri? I don't know how to pronounce that. On Gertrude Street. Okay. Yeah, actually, there's so much good coffee in Melbourne. We're just spoiled for choice. Chobani Barista Edition oat milk is really good. Yeah, okay. Well, another good oat milk is a brand called Oatly, and they actually sponsored the event that I was shooting, and they have a barista edition oat milk as well. It's quite tasty. It's good if you're going to have oat with. But the thing is with oat milk is it's kind of overpowering. The taste overpowers the coffee a little bit. 6x7. I shoot that on my Horseman 970 field camera, like a 2x3 Graflex. Sorry guys, I think I have a delivery. I am going to go grab it. This is what live streaming's like, but I'll leave you with this beautiful picture of how about a picture of Damon? You can enjoy that. Let me grab this delivery. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. All right, so Dusty Sprocket's question, 6x7, I shoot that on my Horseman field camera. I'll respond to someone else. What are your thoughts on TLR cameras, fan or not? I like them. I have this camera. Yashica Flex. This is the only TLR I've owned, and it's fun. I don't use it too often, but I should. It's just not the sharpest. The lenses are a bit foggy. I don't know if it's just the lenses themselves or just the fact that they're not the premium sort of option. Because there is a Yashinon and something else. This is the 3.5 version. So I find it really sharp in the center, but it's a bit harder to focus. I'm not sure if the camera's just kind of old, but obviously it's not as good as a Rolleiflex or something like that, or a Yashica 124G. But it is fun to use. I do like TLRs. Will Mamiya 7 really improve landscapes over and above an X-Pan. Depends what you mean by improve. You'll definitely get a lot more resolution. X-Pan, it's still a much smaller negative in terms of overall space. It's a very different aspect ratio though, the 6.7 to the X-Pan one. Josh, LA's great, just don't go too touristy with your trip there. Yeah, see, I generally don't like to go to the touristy spots in cities, even though it can't be helped sometimes. So I know what you mean. Mert, when viewing through the viewfinder, have you distinguished good versus great? See, in the moment, you can't always tell. Sometimes you can though. Have you ever been shooting and you get this rush when you're taking a shot because you know how good it could potentially be? That's sometimes where I think you get the feeling through the viewfinder. Even though sometimes you might take it, you get back and develop it or see it on your computer or whatever, and it's not great after all. It could be rubbish. But then sometimes I feel when you're looking through the viewfinder, you can distinguish to some degree. Veronica made a cheaper 6x7. Oh yeah, that's true. That's probably cheaper than the RB67. It's the SQ something, I think, or the S something. Yeah, I think Bray Hunziker uses one on his channel. You can check that out. But yeah, they're probably a bit cheaper than an RB67 for sure. They're still not really cheap. And there might be something else out there, but yeah, that's a good one. A Melbourne collective exhibition. Yeah, that'll be like a film. See, there's so many great film shooters here that would just be a lot of candidates for something like that. Just got scans back from Silver Hail out in Perth. Shot a 21mm f4 Voigtlander on my M6, something I've never tried. Pretty cool results. Cool, man. You should post some on the Discord server if you haven't already. I'll check them out. Delivery plus unboxing. Oh, it's nothing exciting, unfortunately. Aside from, hey Hayden, aside from repetition, i.e. going out every day shooting, what else do you think is important for making good to great street photos? Well, the repetition and practice is the main thing, I think. But beyond that, you have to enjoy being out on the street and observing the street. I think that is really important. Even if at first you feel like you enjoy it, but it's overwhelmed by the fear and anxiety of doing what you're doing, with the practice, that goes away. But what's left over should still be some level of enjoyment of being out on the street, observing these moments, whether they involve people or just light play or something. And further to that, it's trying to kind of keep it interesting and look for those hidden moments that aren't always obvious. And a really nice book to read. It's a small little guidebook kind of thing. Here it is. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this. It's just Joel Meyrowitz's How I Make Photographs. And it's just a nice little introductory almost guide to street photography, how he thinks about it, because he's one of the best. And he's also done a lot of teaching and workshops. And I think it shows in terms of how he set out this book. And this goes through multiple things besides what we just talked about. But, you know, be inspired is one of the chapters. And I think he even mentions, you know, the practice element. Yeah, so if you want something a bit more in depth than whatever answer I could give here, I highly recommend this book. It's pretty cheap I bought it on Amazon, and I think it should still be available. Like the price on the back here says $19.99 US. So I think I probably paid 25 Australian dollars because Amazon always does these specials. And yeah, that's a good book to read, I think, if you're getting into street. Can't believe I'm late again for a live stream. Yeah, no worries, man. You can always go back. I'll leave this one online if you want to go back and skip through and see what you missed. But yeah, thanks for all the questions, everyone, especially anyone who submitted one on Instagram. I realized that the people who ask questions there may not actually be online here, but I thought I would include them anyway for a bit of variety. Yeah. So I think just get out there and shoot. That's the main thing. Do it whenever. Even if you don't actually shoot, take your camera with you and try and get into that mode of observation. And it just takes time. You're going to take like 5 years or more potentially. I've been shooting street for more than 5 years, and it still feels like there's way more to go. Like it's just, but you have to enjoy it. You have to enjoy what you're doing. Practice is good, but practice is better. Best advice I got from my music. Yeah, there you go. But I believe you can apply that to anything. Yeah. Hey, Jen. Always late. That's all right. You can always skip back. For anyone who can be bothered, if I was you, it's almost been an hour. And if I was not watching this live, just chiming in and out, tuning in and out, sorry, I would find it hard to watch through the entire hour. I would probably just be skipping through the bits that I'm interested in. And it's too incoherent for me to have chapter markers, I guess, because there's no real structure to this. Gamer's Corner, for me, the hardest thing is just stay in one corner and just wait. I like to roam around. Maybe that's why I'm not getting any good photos, I guess. It's not because of that. And then those are two different distinct ways of shooting. People call it the hunting or fishing thing. And for me personally, I don't like staying in one spot for too long either, unless there's a lot happening. So I will just sit there and fish, so to speak, for shots. But I enjoy walking around, which is more of the hunter mindset. And neither of those are the reason why you may or may not be getting good shots. It's just about how you operate in those modalities and what's happening out on the street, what you're actually looking for. So yeah, I wouldn't put it down to either of those. Mini format is from street photography, as people don't always notice you taking photos. Yeah, definitely, especially if you use something like a TLR, which I did use on the street once. But yeah, again, it was just hard to get good focus with this, and I'm not as used to composing with a square or a TLR viewfinder, but I should use it more. It's a nice little camera. Whoops. Anyway, guys, I think this was good. If anyone has any last second questions, I'll quickly answer those. But yeah, I appreciate anyone who joined the stream, especially if you were on for the whole thing. I really appreciate it, and thank you for joining. But I think I'll end this now. Check if I missed any other questions on the Instagram side of things. If you did miss the beginning, feel free to go back and watch this after the stream. It'll stay live, stay online. And then in the beginning, the first 10 or 15 minutes, I think I spoke about, latest news and updates and things that are coming up and the new lens that I bought for the Pentax and that kind of thing. So beyond that, it was just taking questions. But yeah, definitely jump on the Discord server if anyone from Melbourne especially isn't on there, because that's where we will organize meetups generally. And that's how I kind of get an idea of who's interested and what days and all that. And then that way you can meet other people if I'm not involved. There's some great people on the Melbourne Discord group. We're starting to form this little tight-knit community, which is great. And there's a whole bunch of other resources on there that might be helpful to you. So thanks for joining. Thanks, John, Hayden, Luke. Yeah, come to the next one, man. And John, hope everything's going well in Japan. We actually heard that Japan reopened. We're planning on coming back there soon, hopefully. If not early next year, maybe some other time. But it will be cool to visit Japan again. All right, guys. Hope you're all well. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching if you watch this afterwards. And I'll see you all soon.